everybody. Welcome to EvoYOUtion. Change starts with you. My name's Jordan Jones.
My name's Cordell Jeffers, and today we are extremely excited to have a special guest. We've got the founder of one of the biggest, one of the most hottest urban street brands that has absolutely shaped the culture in the UK, that is thriving, and that is Jay HOODRICH. Yeah, everyone give it up for Jay.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. And just the premise of today really is to kind of delve deeper into the mind of Jay and kind of to look into how you've built your brand and what kind of mindset does it take for someone to kind of come from nothing to something.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I was gonna say, we could just start with just tell us about you, tell us about Jay and your journey.
Okay, so name's Jay from Birmingham. And basically when I was 20, I decided to start a brand called HOODRICH. I'd always been into clothes from an early teen, so it kind of just made sense that I started a clothing brand. I started with £200 just because one day I just decided I'd been buying clothes from too many other different brands, and I just wanted to start something different. I just wanted to test myself and get involved in something that I knew I'd enjoy. So then basically I just started to do research on how to start a brand, what I needed to do, the first steps, and then yeah man, I just kind of went from there.
Yeah. So before HOODRICH then, before you even started the brand, was there any kind of entrepreneurial flair, or was this something quite new to you that you just thought, I'm going to take action on?
When I was in secondary school, I used to sell sweets. So I suppose you could probably say it started from there. Yeah. But what I will say is, even when I was running that little business, I wasn't running it to the best of my ability. Do you know what I mean? I was kind of making the money, then I would just spend it. Do you know what I mean? There was no real structure to what I was doing, but it gave me an insight to what it would be like just to have a product and then just go out and have to sell it to make money. Okay. So yeah, I suppose you could say it started from there, man.
Yeah, so you spoke about your passion for clothing.
Yeah.
And I've heard the story about this £200. So before you invested in clothing, were you fully kind of, what was it about clothing that kind of caught your eye? What is it that creates the passion?
That's a good question. So I'd say from about 14, I've always been into streetwear. Back then it was some of the brands from America, I don't know, Crooks and Castles, the Hundreds, Diamond Supply, Trapstar from the UK. So I was into all of that, and then basically what I'd do is any money that I'd have, I'd either be online shopping or I'd be here in town, and I'd just spend all my money. I didn't have no savings. I just, would get money, and then I would just get a thrill out of ordering clothes or going out and buying clothes. That's just what I loved to do. And Mom and Dad used to say, all you do is buy clothes. You don't save, no money, and but it was just me being myself. Okay. So yeah, man.
So you could say fashion, styles, putting trends together was something that was always within you as a person?
I'd say not so much fashion, but I just kind of like the idea of being able to be fresh in my own way. Okay. Just putting together what I wanted to put together. From early still, I've always kind of been into that. I'd always be particular with what I'd wear, how I'd wear stuff. And yeah, man, I've just been into all of that.
So what would you say kind of ignited the transition from, say, a consumer, someone that spent their money on clothing, to actually creating clothing?
Just literally, just one day, I just thought, do you know what, I've got a wardrobe full of clothes, and I just had this idea in it, and I just thought, I'm gonna start a brand. And then the name HOODRICH I'd heard on a lot of rap songs from America, so I actually Googled what it meant, and I was on the Urban Dictionary, and when I was reading the meaning, it meant someone that's got nice things but doesn't know what they're doing with their life, doesn't have any savings. So I was like, yo, that's me, I'm just out here just just, yeah, do you know what I mean? I wasn't doing nothing constructive, that's the word. I wasn't doing anything constructive, so I thought, okay, let me take that word, that's what I'm gonna call my brand, but let me give it a positive message, positive meaning, which is where like HOODRICH is about my journey going from nothing to something, which is the slogan, just being, you know, 20 years old with nothing and then just having an idea and just having like, you know, the mindset and the get up and go to actually just figure out how I'm gonna make this work.
Was there anything at that kind of moment of transition that, or any brands or any people that kind of inspired you to make that change?
Do you know what? So the funny thing is so it was all off my own back. What I would say is like, growing up, I've seen how my mum is as a person, and she's very like active. She's very much, if she wants to do something, she's just gonna get on with it. She's not gonna wait. So when I had the idea, I just kind of got on with it. I wasn't messing around. I did everything myself. Like I used Google. I didn't even ask anyone any questions about, you know, what it is I need to do. I just did everything off my own back.
So it's fair to say that a trait that you've kind of got from your family is about taking action.
Yeah, taking action. Definitely taking action and just like being proactive and just being positive when negative things are happening. And just understanding that there's certain things in life that, you know, you can't control, but the things that you can control, you should own that and, you know, try and be the best you can be.
Because we have similar conversations about, you know, people growing up in communities, because you're from Erdington, right?
Yeah.
And so was you always able, as growing up, was you always able to think bigger than your community, bigger than your surroundings, or?
Do you know what? Like I said, when I started it at 20, only 3 years after that, when I was doing like, I was reflecting on my journey so far, and I was looking at where other brands were, where I was, and why I wasn't kind of where I wanted to be, did I start to like adapt to another mindset, which we'll talk about in a minute. But before that, I'd always knew that you could get more out of life, and that like Erdington wasn't, you know, the be all and end all. When I grew up, I used to watch like MTV Cribs. So from a young age, I've understood like that you can achieve more just by seeing it. So then, because I know that that's possible, and the people I'm watching on TV are humans just like me, I think subconsciously it's allowed me to think bigger without me even realizing it.
So it's fair to say things like visualization. So individuals could probably have like a vision board.
Oh yeah, you gotta have
Vision board, and
yeah,
that's your kind of vision board was looking at success of others and seeing that it was actually possible.
Yeah, but I was doing that without even knowing about what's it called, like personal development, visualization, all of these things, law of attraction. I was already like doing that anyway, and then yeah. So what happened was my brother, he introduced me to Eric Thompson, ET. 3 years into my journey though, so like I'd already been battling through, I'd already overcome certain hurdles, I'd already had this kind of mindset. But when he introduced me to him, it was like, okay, so there's guys that are on iTunes that are putting out messages like this that I can tap into, and I can just, you know, listen to give me that extra bit of motivation. And that's all it was. I was already motivated, but it's like, yo, now I got people giving me more game. I can learn a bit more, so I can start to broaden my knowledge. And then, because when I hear things, I take action and I apply it. You know what I mean? Like when I'm reading a book, I'm not just reading a book, or I'm not just listening to a podcast for the sake of listening to it. I'm trying to, when I listen, I'm like, okay, what can I take out of that and apply to what I'm doing, whether that's in my business or in my personal life. And what people need to understand is you have to take action to know whether it's right for you, because everyone's journey and everyone's, you know, lives are different. So if you don't try something, you're never gonna know, innit? So it's through trial and error, man.
So when you kind of delved into that personal development, is there any kind of, so ET, was there any statements or any kind of messages that kind of stood out to you that you still use now?
Yeah, so I would say, and I will say this, I'll say it now, I'll say it in 10 years time. The quote that ET said that changed my life was, in order to be the man you wish to be, you must be willing to sacrifice the man you are. So
Powerful. Can we say that one more time for them?
in order to be the man you wish to be, you must be willing to sacrifice the man you are.
Okay.
So when I heard that, like my interpretation of this was, all right, forget about like, as people would say now, like drip or, you know, like going out or, you know, spending money on unnecessary things. Like that can all come down the line. So what I need to do now is sacrifice all of that, put in the work, stay focused, with my end goal being able to attain those things once I'd achieved my goals that were set out. So it was just about stripping back a few layers, you know, cutting out all the noise and then just getting stuck in, man, and just really putting in work, like really putting in some work.
And would you say like, because obviously we know each other from like college,
Yeah.
and I would say like your surroundings and certain people that you was around as well, like you had quite a positive, would you say a positive peer group as well? Because a lot of your peers as well have done quite well. What the guys that I know that you was around in college,
Yeah,
stuff like that as well.
I definitely think that, like, you know, during my friendship circle was small anyway.
Yeah, of course.
But during the last 5.5 years, just after reading so many things and experiencing just life, I'd say that it's more important now to surround yourself with people with the right energy. Just because if you're not around the people with the same energy, or it can have like a negative effect. Yeah, it can throw you off. So like now, to be honest, daily I'm just around like my girlfriend really, and myself, and then like, you know, my immediate family, like when I have time to see them, and my team, because I can't afford for no negative energies or people with, you know, negative mindset, because I understand the effects that can have. Like I said before, I can't afford that. So because I know that, like I don't even really go out or anything like that, because I'm just so focused. But I think people get to that stage when they start to really understand.
Yeah, when I understand you.
Yeah.
It is a tunnel vision that you do need. It's like a laser focus.
Yeah.
But I suppose to touch on that, I think it's fair to say though that kind of sacrifice, that initial transition, can be difficult for the people that are watching. To make them sacrifices, to look at yourself as an individual, to kind of pick at your faults, things that you should be doing that you're not doing, and then to actually kind of, and that's I suppose the transition of self-development. So that's a interesting.
Yeah. And to touch on that, what people should do as well is they should just start with small, man. Small changes. Like I would say to like, you know, younger kids, you know, you've got, I don't know, you go to school, then you finish school at about 3, or you might get home at 4. Cool, when I was younger, I was playing Xbox till whatever time. Take an hour out a day. You could do like half an hour on YouTube, positive video, could be anything, or interview with someone who you're interested in. Then you could spend half an hour reading, do you know what I mean? That hour a day can make such a massive impact, man. And you could read something, and then something could just jump out at you, and then you're like, yo.
You could hold on to it, man, and just make it.
Yeah, man. But if you don't give yourself that time to actually, as you say, develop yourself, or spend time on personal development, you'll just be stagnant and you'll just stand still.
Because we've spoken about this before, when we was talking about kind of setting your goals, and the difference an hour a day in a month is like, what, 7, 14, 21, 28 hours of personal development just through 1 hour. But there seems to be kind of a lack of motivation. I don't know if it's kind of fear of the unknown, why people don't kind of delve into actually committing to themselves. So you'd commit, say, for example, 8 hours to an employer, or you'd commit, say, 2 hours to Netflix, which is a subscription model, so Netflix are benefiting. But when it comes to actually half an hour to yourself, just waking up half an hour extra, or it just, it's...
I think, based off what you're saying as well, is like, a lot of people think of the end goal, but then they want to jump in it, but with it's the personal development that will give you the, you know, the resilience mindset to push you through. And a lot of people are not doing that part.
This is what I'm saying, because I believe mindset is everything. I believe your mindset will take you, you know, however far you like ultimately want to go. But if you don't work on your mind, train your mind, you know, to deal with life and then business, if you've got a business, you know, you're not going to be strong-minded enough to achieve anything. And it is all about mindset, man. It's all about mindset, because from the mind is how you program yourself to go out and learn new skills. Once you've got new skills, you apply those new skills, then you get results. That leads to, you know, the wheels are turning. You've built up momentum, which then leads to you having confidence. Then once you've gained the confidence, you're like, yeah, you know what? I can do this. Then you go again, and it's just a cycle. But you have to start though. And the start's the hardest part. So, you know what I mean?
Tell us about your start then. So £200.
Yeah.
You invested in some t-shirts. So how did it develop from there?
So I had £200. I had to do some research on, you know, how do you start a brand? What do you do? Like, do you do t-shirts? Do you do long sleeves? Do you do hoodies first? So after a few, you know, sessions on Google or whatever, I came up with a plan of what I was going to do, who I was going to need to do it. Then the next stage was just finding out who was a screen printer in Birmingham back at the time. So it's just driving around, man. I remember driving around to a few different shops, and then there was one guy who I was picking his brains, and he was giving me some knowledge on different printing techniques. And I've still got the sheet to this day because he wrote it down for me. And it was just little things like that, just taking the initiative to get up and go out and speak to people. Like, you could want to start a business, but or want to do something, but you gotta go out there. You gotta like literally take action, speak to people. One thing that I've done as well, anything that I'm afraid to do or fear, I'll just say, you know what, I'm just gonna do it anyway. You gotta feel the fear and do it anyway.
That's what my
Yeah. You got, because, and you know what the fact is, once you do it, you feel better.
Exactly, because then you feel complete almost. Do you know what I mean?
So like, even if you feel that fear, go and do it. But yeah, anyway, going back. So then got 30 t-shirts printed, £200, 15 white, 15 black, sold them, promoted it. Did I promote that on Insta? I did have an Instagram account at the time, but I sold that to just like close friends and then friends of friends. And what happened was a lot of the man then was going out to like Napa that year. So they wore it over there. And it was just literally all I wanted to do was just plant the seed. That's all I was thinking about. I wasn't thinking about not next week's goal, not next month's goal, just that first step, which was get the tees printed, get them out, you know, start to just get the name out there. I think a lot of people start things and then look at the big picture. You need to just look at the next step, break it down into like bite-sized chunks, do you know what I mean? So it's just easier to manage and it doesn't feel overwhelming.
So how did you keep yourself accountable? Because it's a lot to take on.
Do you know what it is? I'm gonna be real, like, I haven't got no like, I came from working in Iceland, then I was working at my mum's business. I was a play worker. So, and I believed in it that much that, you know, I got nothing to fall back on. Like, I'm on a thing like, yo, I need to make this work, like straight up. Like, this has to, that's it. Like, this has to work. I've got to, so like, if anything comes up, it's like, I've got to get over this because I've got to do it. I've got to do it. So my mindset going into things was just different.
Because funny you mentioned Iceland, because I have got some notes. So apparently you still got your discount card.
Yeah. I've still got that, man. 10%. Yeah, 10%. It's dead, but you know.
When you look at that, because obviously that's going from kind of working. How old was you when you started working?
16.
So 16 you started working.
To 2.5 years.
I've read that you said that you kind of you learned a lot about yourself during that period.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I haven't really said this, but I'll tell you a funny story about Iceland. So when I was in school, secondary school, everyone had to go and do work experience. And I remember one of my brethrens, he went and he was doing work experience in that Iceland. And we went in there with a man them. And I remember it clearly, he was stacking shelves. I remember like laughing at him doing that. So then I've left school. What do I find myself doing? I'm applying for a job at that same Iceland. But it didn't hit me until I was like a year in, and then that's when I changed. I understood that in life, you know, the tables can turn,
100%.
and it was an important lesson for me to learn early on. So I started to, like, you know, not take things for granted, understand that, you know, you've got just trying to be more of a decent person, do you know what I mean? But yeah, sorry, Iceland was, I did learn a lot. I learned how to like interact with customers, talk to customers. I just learned about teamwork and that a business needs proper procedures and structures to even function. And I learned that I didn't want to be there or work for anyone.
So when you look at that discount card now, what does it say to you?
It's just motivating, man. It's just like, I can look at that and I can think, you know what? Because I can remember it so clearly. Like, I used to have to do, like, I don't know, on a Saturday, 10 till 6. And, you know, it wasn't that I hated it, but I didn't enjoy it though. And like certain times I'd have to go into the freezer and it's cold, and you know what I mean? It's just a good reminder of where I don't want to go back to. And it's a good, like, you know what? Like, for example, I'll wake up and I'll just be like, years ago, you know, if I didn't put in this work, I could have ended up just being in Iceland, which is what I don't want to do. There's nothing wrong, you know, with working in Iceland, but I didn't see that as my long-term plan. Or goal.
Even me and Jordan, we was having a conversation on the last podcast, and it was all about, you know, if you're inspired to do something, you know, no matter what the obstacles are, you're gonna push through.
Yeah.
Push through. But obviously, starting out having £200, you know, which is, you know, credible. You know, starting out with just only £200. But what would you say your main obstacles were starting out?
Just everything, not knowing anything about how to run a brand, not having any business experience. So everything really, but like the main ones were just getting the product sorted out. Because what I did for the first 3.5 years, I'm a creative guy, so I'm just on like, yo, I like this design, let's get this out. There's no structure to my back end. I weren't looking at profit and loss or nothing like that. Or, you know, I was just like, yo, I'm just gonna keep just getting stuff out there. I'll worry about all that later. Okay. That's what I was thinking about. In the back of my mind, I knew that if I was able to get this far enough and get this in front of the right people, I can worry about that after. So some of the more harder hurdles to overcome with what I was doing was just like finding manufacturers, getting stuff made. But as time's gone on and I look back, I understand that is part of the process. And like finding these people isn't easy. And if it was, everyone would be doing it. But what separates the pack is people that can persevere and that can, you know, keep going when they've got setbacks or when they get disappointed, or things don't go their way.
Yeah. So when would you say then, like, okay, so you know you've invested, you know, you've got your t-shirts out, your brand started to go, you're getting a bit of a buzz. Like, when was that transition from your business kind of growing and you sitting back thinking, yo, this is serious, you know, like I need to actually like make this everything as big as I can? Like, when was that transition? At what year or what?
3-year mark.
The 3-year mark.
Yeah, I was like, at that time I was had like a office in my mum's house, and like I said, I was like doing a 3-year review where I was, where brands were that started the same time as me. Some of them had dropped off, so I knew that to be doing something for 3 years. You know, I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, obviously, you're at the 3-year hurdle, but then some of them had like, to me back then, were like gone clear.
Okay.
And then I just had to ask myself. I was just very self-aware. Like, I was just like, what is it? And I just wasn't putting in 120%. That was it.
So was that? Sorry to cut you. Was that 3-year review, business related, and personal related?
Yeah. Everything just more business, but then it linked back to me personally, because if I'm not developing personally, then the business can't. Because at the time I was a one-man band, I was doing everything. So if my skill set increases, I can apply that to my business. Then my business acumen can, you know, can ultimately increase and things can start to really progress.
So how do you kind of dissect kind of 3 years? Was it kind of mental? Was it written? Like, how do you go about looking at your journey and kind of seeing any flaws? Because
Just the internet, looking at things like, I'm gonna be real, like Instagram,
okay,
followers, how my website looked in comparison to some of the other websites, and yeah, just like I'd say sales, because I didn't understand, because when I first started it, I didn't really care about money. I just wanted money to come in so I could keep going, because I knew that I wasn't chasing money. I just loved what I did. So earning money from it was like a bonus. But then when I started to realize, like I caught wind of like, you know, what other the potential brands could do, like their turnover, I was like, okay, like it was a bit of like a realization, like,
okay,
I'm not even scratching the surface with what I could be doing. Then I had to work it backwards. Why am I not where I want to be?
So I was gonna say, when did you like start delegating like roles and
Okay, so
making a team around you and stuff?
so that at the 3.5 year mark, I was approached by Foot Asylum, and I was approached by my now business partners. So that again was a huge turning point, because that changed the game again. And then after that, I started to employ people, build the team up like slowly, like one by one. So yeah, I would say after 3.5 years, I did HOODRICH on my own from day one till 3.5 years. Apart from, obviously, I had a lot of help from like my girlfriend. She used to just, you know, come around with me in the car, cutting out labels, helping relabel stuff, helping polybag. So yeah, like she's been a massive help, man, and helped me stay on track during, you know, the whole 5.5 years. But yeah, for 3.5 years, I did everything as pretty much like a one-man band.
So when you are building a team, how can you judge if people are actually invested into your vision?
Through conversations, through putting them on like, you know, trial periods, understanding how they found out about HOODRICH, what do they know about HOODRICH, where do they see the brand going, and just kind of just trying to get to know them, you know, whilst they're on, let's say, like a probation period.
Okay.
But you can kind of tell, man, because the work that they do or how enthusiastic they are about the project on a whole, you can kind of, you have to be able to gauge that if you're going to build a team and bring people in. And obviously it's not always roses. It's there's been times where I've made the wrong judgment.
Yeah, of course.
But how I am wired is I embrace failure. Like, I like to, it sounds mad, but I like to fail, and I don't mind.
Don't sound mad, because that's what we're about.
You said that you said literally the same thing to me a few days ago. What was it that you said?
Saying people, what I
About,
see like lots of
about the failures.
about the failures. What one was it now? What jewel did I drop then?
Too many jewels.
But it's too
Oh,
many.
he's talking about people like to limit themselves based off their excuses.
Yes.
So I mean, they use their excuses as limitations,
Yeah.
when really there's nothing, because you can break that barrier by jumping in. It's
Fail more was there. I think, was
doubling
it
your rate of failure.
doubling your rate of
Yeah,
failure.
man.
That was it. Yeah.
I stand by that,
Yeah.
because once I always say, like, once you're not, I said, I was having a conversation the other day with my brother, and I was saying it's crazy what people would do if they didn't care about what others thought of them. If they could just
100%.
go out and just do something without having what's so-and-so gonna think on their subconscious mind or in the back of their head, people would be out here like really jumping in the deep end. So you have to have that mindset and not be scared to fail, because what happens when you fail is you learn. And when you learn, obviously you've got more knowledge now. So what you need to do is apply what you've learned, so then you can do that thing that you failed on better next time.
Because you did say, and I read again, after the 3-year review, what kind of really drove you forward was actually falling in love with the process. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. So again, I was doing a lot around that time. I was doing a lot of personal development, listening to podcasts, reading. And yeah, I had to almost fall in love with the process all over again.
That's crazy to think that you've been doing something for 3 years. And
Yeah,
to kind
yeah.
of,
I had to get, this is the word, I had to get realigned.
Okay.
And is that because like, okay, because I could imagine you got 3 years now, you're doing your review, and then, you know, this was just a brand that you loved. Like you said, you didn't really care about the money, but then you've got someone like a big company like Foot Asylum trying to approach you for your business. So how did that feel? And then what were the pressures that brought on?
I've always had a saying where I say like the real work starts when you get on. So to break that down, the real work started when, you know, when things hit the stores in Foot Asylum. So again, I feel like I'm a person who I've been preparing for success for years now. So when certain things come up, I'm able to deal with it better than if I was just like, you know, plodding along. So, you know, I'm reading, I'm listening, I'm expecting these things to happen. So when I'm just, like I said, I'm just getting in my mindset, I'm just getting mentally prepared, man. And I'm just saying to myself every time, like, I don't have a plan B. This has to work. So I gotta figure it out. Like I've got to, innit? I just put a lot of pressure on myself because that's how I perform.
And this question I'm about to touch on, it's more for like the aspiring brands and that as well. Like, is there like a checklist that you need to get into them kind of, like what would they, okay, they've come and approached you.
Yeah.
Why was it they approached you other than other brands?
I would say, looking back, I would say that I think brands nowadays need to adopt a few things. So try and be creative, a little bit different. You need to come across professional. I think that's what they liked about the brand, that there was a professional element. And that's just because of the brands I looked up to, and I've got a keen eye for like what looks good. So yeah, people need to take time to research, you know, do mood boards, understand how they want their brand to look, because this generation's got like a 3-second attention span. So if they're landing on your page and it doesn't look, they're not seeing like certain colors or seeing certain things, then they're not really gonna be interested. So I would say that, yeah, coming across professional, trying to be, you know, unique in your own way, and obviously you've got to have good product. So I'd say that, and maybe like the retailers, like if, you know, high profile people are wearing it, whether that's footballers, rappers, you know what I mean? It does help. It's not the be all and end all, but it does help.
Like, obviously you've hit the urban culture. You know, we see your brand everywhere. Like HOODRICH is everywhere now. Do you know what I mean?
Respect, man.
Like, I do a lot of work up and down the country, and it's in every single city. It's crazy. And you know, you've got obviously your local rappers to your national rappers, and 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that one was a madness for everybody.
Yeah,
Do you know
that
what I
was
mean?
a mad one
'Cause
still.
50 and he wore it
Yeah.
like he wore it like he loved that. Do you know what I mean? So that's crazy.
So the whole, when I seen 50 Cent wear it, it was like my vision, what I had for when someone big, like, it was exactly that. It was exactly that. Like I said, like, everything that's gonna happen from now moving forward, I visualized years ago. So what happened was my PR company just told me to send some stuff out to 50 stylists. So, you know, you just don't think anything of it really. So I sent a care package out, and yeah, he wore it. But what happens is his stylist would present him with certain amount of outfits, and he picked it. So which is what I want HOODRICH to be like. I want it to grow organically. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to force it upon anyone to wear it. I want them to wear it because they want to wear it. And that's what happened with 50, man. So big up 50. I looked up to him when I was a youth, man. And just, it's mad to see, obviously, all the albums and that. So just to see him embodying, you know, what my idea and it come to like life is, again, it's just like, it's a confidence boost, but at the same time, it's not something that I'd get super gassed up about and take my foot off the pedal. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, 50 wore it, but you know, I got a rule where I celebrate for 24 hours, then I'm straight back to the grind, because that's yesterday's news.
can't celebrate.
Nah, man, that's yesterday. Like 50 wore it, cool. But yo, what's next? What are we doing? Who's next? I need to know who's next or what's going on next.
Barack Obama, bro, why not?
Yo, pulling up at the water.
Jeez,
You
how
never
does
know.
it feel though? Because obviously we're talking about something like high profile, like 50, but you inspired a generation. Like there's a group, a demographic of young males, females that literally every time you walk out your door, you must see your brand, and then they're probably walking past you, they don't even know it's you. Like, how does that feel?
When I see people in the brand now, it feels good, man. It lets me know that people are, you know, taking their hard-earned money, however they've got it, and they're choosing to purchase Hoodrich. Then they've got a wardrobe full of, you know, as we all have different things, and they're choosing to wear the brand. So it's crazy, man. It's like, to get to this point, how can I? It's just a dream. It's just a dream.
I was saying to you the other day, man, it's almost like we do a lot of work in schools and stuff like that, and I will wear Hoodrich into the school to feel relatable to the young people, so they could look at me and say, you know what, I'm going to give this guy a chance and let me hear what he's talking about. It's almost, that is how Hoodrich has resonated.
You've created a culture.
People. Yeah, man, you created a culture.
That was the aim.
Okay.
That was the aim when I first started it. I knew, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I didn't want to just buy my t-shirt, buy my hoodie. So what I did is I put on events. I did what was it called? The hood. Oh gosh, I can't remember what the name of the I did like a day event, and basically where I had clothes on sale, I had food, and I had like obviously music, and then I had like an open mic session, because I wanted it to be relatable. I wanted people to come, and I wanted something there that the culture you know, can relate to, basically. So yeah, man, I didn't want it to just be clothes.
So would you say that's quite important, in, like, for a brand to understand their target market, who they want buying their brand, what they're kind of...
Yeah, you need to understand who your target audience is, what are they interested in, where do they shop, you know, what other brands are they looking at, who do they listen to, where do they go on holiday. Like, the more information you can get, the better. So you can do that through a number of ways now. Like, anyone who's got a new brand, feedback's important. So you can use Instagram to get feedback on a product. Also, one thing that I did which really helped me was I went to UK Design Expo, and I set up there about 4 times. I did that. And what that enabled me to do was to be like, yo, this is my collection. Put it in front of complete strangers and just get a reaction. Speak to people. What do you think of it? Like, is this something you'd wear? If not, why? Or, you know what I mean? What do you like? What don't you like? So that was key, man, because what a lot of brands do, bedroom brands do, is what they don't do is they don't do that. They don't put themselves out there in... Yeah, because you need to know, man, is your product gonna sell? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you need to know, and it's better to do it live in the flesh, because you can find out what they don't like or what they do like. And it's better, and also you're building rapport with people, and you're building relationships, and you're being able to learn how to speak to people, because as I've got further down the line, it's funny that it's not less about clothes, but it's more about my relationships, more about how I come across, how I'm able to speak with certain people. That's what it's... But before, it was all like clothes. So you don't want to be someone who's can sell clothes, but you can't have a conversation with a buyer at Foot Asylum or JD. You need to, and that's why reading and listening to podcasts is good, because it you know, it makes you more, I don't know, like, it just widens your vocabulary, and when you're speaking, and
Especially
reading. Yeah, just makes you a little bit more switched on, man.
Going back to the process, I think, was there a time where you spent some money on some stock and overseas order?
Yeah. So one of the first overseas manufacturers that I had was from Pakistan.
Okay.
And it was a massive lesson. So ordered the stock, didn't understand the process of getting like, you know, samples and, you know, I just didn't know and all the things that I know now. So anyway, I've sent the money because you have to send the money before it gets sent. The stock came and then like the prints were like coming off. I couldn't get the sweatshirt over my head. The hood shape was all mad. But again, that was a big lesson learned, because then it was like, okay, so what can I do so this doesn't happen again? I need to start to get samples, because I literally came from not knowing anything about business or clothing. So these mistakes, when I look back, they were bound to happen.
Was the failures, as we've kind of touched on,
Yeah,
the
man.
failures that kind of pushed you forward?
Another thing, what about your brand as well, that I think would feel like, because take the culture away from it, take the popularity away. If you walk into Foot Asylum, your brand stands out. Like, no disrespect to all the other brands that are in Foot Asylum, everyone's doing their thing, but it does have an element of when you walk in there, you're drawn to your brand, your section. Do you know what I mean? And how was you able to do that?
When I first found out that HOODRICH was actually getting bought to go into Foot Asylum again, I said to myself, I don't want to just go in there and just be another brand. I want to go in there. I want to be one of the best performing brands. I want to, you know, when I go to the HQ, I want them to know who I am, and do you know what I mean? I want them to be aligned with my vision and not just a brand that just is stocked in Foot Asylum. I wanted to change the narrative a bit as well, because Foot Asylum before was seemed as like, you know, a kind of cheesy store. So I did have to make a decision, like, is this a store that I want to go into? But what's happened is, this is what I saw, there's a culture shift. So like urban culture now is becoming more popular. So bigger corporate companies are tapping into the urban culture. So that's why when you go into Foot Asylum or JD, you're going to hear the same people that like we all kind of, you know, urban music and stuff like that. So it's slowly changing. So, you know, again, I had to kind of foresee that and just go with my instinct.
I did read that article, I think it was Tommy Hilfiger that was discussing that, and that he was kind of renowned for that kind of sport streetwear, but quite smart, and now kind of like the bigger brands like your Gucci's and all these kind of bigger brands, and now that were more kind of high-end, like suits and you know, shirts, and now kind of tapping into kind of the urban style.
It's only gonna get
and you feel that's
bigger.
kind of enhanced kind of, or kind of allowed you to kind of solidify yourself within that?
Yeah. Because like when we think about urban culture, you know, it's music, food, and clothes. Do you know what I mean? Mainly, films are coming big now, because you've got films like the one that Rapman did, Blue Story, and you've got Top Boy. So do you know what I mean? Those four things are on the rise. So when we think about like music videos, I try to get HOODRICH in as many videos as possible, because it's relatable and it's aligned with what's going on in the culture. But yeah, I do think that the culture shift has massively gone in HOODRICH's favor, and I started the brand way before the culture shift really took a turn for the better. So I've just been kind of fortunate, but then I suppose I was just doing what I loved, and then the timing's been really good, man.
So do you think, because sometimes people may use that as an excuse, they may like, oh yeah, it's not doing well, but it's not the right time, or they might look at your brand and say, oh, but that brand's good right now because of the time. A lot of people will use them excuses.
That's how it goes.
So don't get me wrong, I do believe that timing is key to everything, but still in this time, this day and age, even though you might have passed it, you can still make it work.
Yeah. You can still make it work. It's down to the individual as well, because what's more important is that if you're gonna start a brand that it's niche, it's got its own like target audience, because then you don't need to rely on what's going on like outside of your niche market. So as long as it's niche and it's focused on, I don't know, how are you providing value to your customers? What do you do different to other people? I think if you focus on that, then, you know, you'll be all right. There's a lot of brands. I was just on Twitter, I seen a brand, and yeah, they're doing really well, but I've never heard of them. But the girl who's doing it, she's got her own little target audience that tap into what she's doing in it, and that's all that matters.
I suppose that's the business side, but I've also kind of heard you say something about vision and burning desire.
Okay, yeah.
What is it about vision and a bit? What does that mean to you?
With what I'm doing, like I can see, and I've seen it so many times, where I'm gonna end up and where the brand's gonna end up. So because I've already seen it, I've got this burning desire to just get on with things in the day to day because I've already I've seen it. So that's where that comes from. And like I said, I'm extremely passionate about what I do. I do want to win in my lane, in the HOODRICH lane. And yeah, I'll always, yeah, man, I'll always do this because this is what I love.
So you got that mental clarity, like you said. A lot of the things that you've seen, you don't even like applaud them as much because you've already seen this. So that's where it comes down to mindset, and that's where you're talking about. You tapped into personal development and stuff like that. So what books was you reading now?
So I've read Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, massive book.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. The Power of Broke. Extreme Ownership. I've read a few more, you know, but I just don't know like all the names. I've read some like from an author called Seth Godin, and like I'll just get someone will recommend a book, and then I'll just one thing about me as well. As quick as I am to go out and buy new clothes, I'm buying books like that as well. So like there's balance. Do you know what I mean? That's where there's nothing wrong with like, you know, there's nothing wrong with enjoying your life as well if you can find balance, but understand that there does need to be an element of sacrifice. The more you sacrifice, all you're doing is you're just increasing your chances of becoming successful.
But then I suppose it's kind of using the word sacrifice, because sacrifices it kind of seems as if you're losing, but in essence,
yeah. That's what, it's a good way to put it. You're not losing at all. It's short-term loss for long-term gain. Put it like that, man.
And a lot of people, like, you know, because, you know, even myself, man, like, a lot of people don't understand it as well. So family, how do you like, do you know what I mean? Because I sacrifice a lot, and sometimes my family's like, yo, Cordell, like, you know, you're not coming around, you're not seeing us. And only the ones that really understand may get it, but there's a lot of people that won't understand, and they might feel hurt by that. But like you said, man.
I think that you have to, as an individual, you have to come to a realization that if you're on a journey, you are going to be distant from loved ones. Will they understand it? Some might not. But you can't let that affect what you're trying to do for yourself, because ultimately it's you that has to be the driving force behind what you want to do. As well, to really achieve goals, you have to be selfish. Like that's just one of the facts, man.
And like I say to a lot of my family, like when you got a bigger vision, you know what I mean? Like your family might not understand it. It's just because they came from it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we've got our grandparents that probably came overseas and built what they've had to here. But you know, a lot of them might not understand it because, you know, they're not on the same journey. But they don't understand that journey is also for them as well. So that's what I try to push into.
And it can be hard at first, but I think when the ball starts rolling, and like for example, when I went into foot asylum, like I was able to take like my nan and my great granddad, and then obviously my mum and dad, and do you know what I mean? So it's a little bit difficult, but once you start or get somewhere where they can evidently see, you know, that things are happening, then the vision does start to become more clear, because ultimately you're saying to someone, you know, I'm trying to do this and that, and I'm focused and I haven't got time for you, but because they haven't seen any results, naturally as a human, they do doubt it a little bit. But when they see, that's why that period is so important, just to stay focused, because when people doubt it, it should just give you a bit more fuel to, you know, go and make it happen. And then you can just be like, this is like, yo, this is what I've been trying to do.
And I suppose that comes down to kind of the passion and the purpose of having that bigger vision. And something that I kind of spoke about is that initial £200 of investment that you put into t-shirts wasn't based around trying to get rich quick or based around seeing somebody else do something and jumping on it. It was something that it was around your purpose, it was around your passions, it was where you were spending your money, it was what you used to speak about, it was where you're spending your time. And I sometimes believe that if individuals kind of focus more on their individual purpose and look within to what they're most passionate about and choose to invest into that, then we can see the successes. Because I can imagine there's been so many kind of copycat brands that have seen your success, put in that £200 and they may even see this video and invest £200 and not get the results, but it's not within them.
So
and
it's really understanding, like we say, it's understand. We feel like you have to understand your reason why first, find your purpose first, and work off that.
Exactly, man. You've got to be super passionate about what you do. You got to love it, because ultimately, if you don't, you won't get, you know, as far as you'd hope. Because what happens is there are hurdles, there are obstacles, and when you don't love something or you're not truly passionate about it, these obstacles and hurdles can throw you off. I'm faced with obstacles and hurdles to this every day. Do you know what I mean? So, but because, you know, I'm so in love with the process and I understand where I want to go and, you know, where I want to end up, and my mindset, I can approach these hurdles differently. But if I didn't have the passion and for that, then of course it's going to be a little bit difficult. Like, for example, you know, a lot of people are jumping on like trading and stuff like that because you can make a lot of money. Have I thought about doing that before? Yeah, or even property developing, but I just had to say to myself, that I'm a creative guy. I've just got to do what I'm good at and what I want to do, like not do it because it's a safe, I don't know, it's a safe investment. That's cool, I appreciate that, but I'm on my own, I'm in my own lane, like I'm self-aware of what I'm good at and what I want to do, not what everyone else is doing or what.
We've said it, and I've had the shiny ball syndrome. I mean, I've invested a lot of money into like trading and stuff like that. And then when and then it just that reaffirmed my why on it. Do you know what I mean? That reaffirmed me. Okay, do you know what? This isn't for me. So, you know what I mean? My thing is motivating and, you know, making people become their best version.
This is what I'm saying.
I'm focusing on.
Makes sense.
When you do tunnel vision that, and with all your vision boards and everything out, and you take constant action, it becomes clear and it becomes reality.
This is what I'm saying, man. And then you're able to really find your purpose, and then you're not getting caught up in loads of other things. Almost got to double down on, you know. That's one thing that we spoke about it briefly. That's one thing that I've done. Like, I've only ever had one business idea, and I've just like had that one idea and just stuck with that and just gone all in on it. So I do think that, you know, people need to figure out what it is they're passionate about or what they love doing. And, you know, it could take, I don't know, however long, because you've got to try things.
100%. I suppose it's about falling in love with the process, not the results. It's easy to jump on something if you want to see the success. I suppose even though you had that vision, you didn't see the success per se in regards to, he's made £10,000. She's made. It was more about how you visualize yourself in that journey.
That's what I'm saying. And just a little bit of a secret, like, you know, with like daily figures of what the brand's made or anything like that, I don't really pay too much attention to them. Like, I know what's going on but I don't get too invested in that, because if we're doing good or if we're doing bad, my mindset's the same. We still got to keep going. So regardless, I don't need to look at that for any kind of validation. Do you know what I mean? If we're doing extremely like bad or something, of course, then I'll be made aware of that. But it's just, no matter if we're doing it, it doesn't matter, because I'm still, do you know what?
It inspires me to hear that, to be fair, because that shows your commitment to your vision.
Like, I'm still
mental
on it,
strength
man.
that you have, that you want to succeed and you want the brand to succeed, and you can't buy that. You can't invest in that. You can't go to like that. It's within you. It has to be.
You've almost got to like play the game without just looking at the scoreboard. It's like, for example, 50 Cent might have been a goal, but doesn't matter. I'm still playing. I'm still gonna keep shooting. Doesn't matter how many times I score. It's never ending.
And I call that mental toughness, man. That's mental resilience, because you got people like you know, your athletes like Ronaldo, Floyd Mayweather, your Kobe's, and when you look at all of them, it's a constant.
Yeah.
You know, they just want to be champions,
Yeah.
and they don't. If you won the season last season, that's done.
Yeah.
New season
Don't
now.
even matter.
On, you know what I mean? And then, because a lot of people do get caught up with their wins, and you'll see them rise and then they'll quickly fall.
Yeah.
You see a lot with artists. They get that one hit. You know, they're smashing it, they're touring, and then they chill back and then they dry up a little bit. And so
You gotta be on it.
One
man,
win
you gotta-
though, Europe. It's like the brands in Europe now.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We went into the European market last year for Q4, so November. So the brand over here has been building for like, say 5 years at the point we went into Europe. But over there it's new. They've never really seen it before. So yeah, man, the seed's been planted and we're working with JD in Europe to just maintain the momentum, build on, you know, what we've done in a short space of time. But yeah, that's a whole new challenge in itself.
the grind's fresh.
Yeah. It's early over there. It's early. Do you know what I mean? It's early. But yeah, it's going good, and we've just got to. It's the same. Like, we've just got to keep going, build it up. You know, just make sure we communicate well, find out what's working, and just double down on what's working, man, and just keep going, keep building it.
So when people look at HOODRICH and see the brand, what do you want people to kind of take back from the meaning of HOODRICH?
People are gonna, when they see it, they're gonna make up their own meaning. But I would like people to see, as I explain HOODRICH as, hood is somewhere where you're at in life. For me, that, I'm just gonna say, it could have been Iceland. Rich is the position I'm in now, say, not because of financial gain or anything like that, just because of where I'm at in my life and where my brand is. So it's just about that transition. Hood, rich, it's just about that transition from someone going from a place that they're not necessarily happy at to the place where they want to be at. You could be, I don't know, in your office doing a 9 to 5, then you might visualize yourself on a beach in Dubai. So what's going to go in the middle of that transition for you to make that a reality? For me, it was just hard work, dedication, extreme focus, failing, trying new things, and just getting stuck in. So that's what it is ultimately, man. It's a journey, it's a transition. It's yeah.
Because you got like Will Smith, he's got a quote where he says, "No matter if I get on the treadmill or the next man gets on the treadmill, whether he's smarter, whether he's better looking, whether he's hungrier, I'm willing to die on my treadmill. So ideally, I'm winning."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And you have to be able to have a vision that you can, you know, that you believe that you're willing to die for.
Yeah,
you know
man.
what I mean? We just seen, like, you know, Tyson Fury and stuff like that in the ring the other day. And when you're looking at them people, like, because, you know, I look a lot about these champion mindsets, and it's, you know what I mean, they're willing to die.
Yeah.
For what they believe in, and whether it's deep or not, and people don't concept it, that's just the real job.
Yeah, that's it. Facts, man.
And we talk about, obviously, with me and Kola, we talk a lot about legacy. We talk about having a 100-year plan.
Yeah, which is interesting, man. That's it.
So kind of what after you're gone, what do you kind of want you as an individual to be kind of known for? To be remembered as?
I'd like to just be remembered as someone who was just like an average 20-year-old from a city that literally had an idea and turned that idea into actual physical form, reality. And I'd like to be remembered as someone who, you know, went against the grain, was extremely focused and determined to achieve something that only I can see, because no one else can see my vision. So that's where it gets difficult, because you're doing something where no one else can see it. It's just me and my own mind. So yeah, man, I'd like to be remembered for all that, amongst other things like doing talks, giving back to the community, helping where I can, and just being a positive role model for, you know, males and females, you know, to take what they want to take from whatever I'm saying. I think, you know what, Jay said this, like, that doesn't apply to me directly, but maybe if I do this or if I try that, and then, do you know what I mean? Just to get conversations going, get a positive mindset going, get good energy going, because I know how important it is and I know where it can lead to, and I only want people, that's the only way that makes sense for me.
Yeah. Well, listen,
Yeah.
can we just say thanks for coming down?
Yeah.
Appreciate it a lot, man. And do you know what I mean? Like, seeing the transition is just incredible, man.
Yeah,
and
nah.
hopefully, you know, we can inspire as many people possible with this story, man. And the last thing though, like in 10 years, like where's HOODRICH gonna be?
In 10 years, sooner than 10 years, global brand.
Global.
Yeah, global brand, man. Global brand.
We'll be dominating
I'm
every
claiming it, man.
Claiming
it. Yeah, man. There's a lot of work to do though, but you know, nothing's impossible.
But I think as you've shown us kind of how you've articulated your journey there, I don't feel a lot could stop you to achieve.
Gotta just try and make it happen, man.
I reckon it will. I'm quite certain it will, man.
Yeah, man.
Definitely.
Yeah. Nah, respect for having me, man. Honestly, bro.
Right, so guys, that was Visionary Talks with Jay, live podcast, man.
EvoYOUtion.
EvoYOUtion, change starts with you, yeah? Thank you for that, man.
Yeah, man. Does anyone have any questions? It can be anything, you know, literally. Yeah.
How do you remain humble?
You know the story I said about the Iceland thing? That taught me that, you know, anything can happen. So from that, I learned that I'm laughing at him stacking shelves, but then I'm in that position 2 years later. So that taught me to always be humble. So that's where I get that from.
How do you balance social life and grind?
At the moment, I don't really have a social life, you know, because I made the decision to sacrifice my social life just because I feel like I didn't want to get further down the line and say to myself, I wish I would have, you know, spent more time building up my business rather than, you know, going out or doing whatever. So it was just a decision that I had to make. Yeah, man.
You talk about blocking out negative energies. How?
I don't know. I don't really be around a lot of people, you know. So that's one thing. Like I'm not around like that. So straight away, and I feel like it's good to start to be comfortable with being alone. So whether you're alone watching things on YouTube or reading books, once you start to become more comfortable with that, and also what will happen is you'll develop as a person, and when you're having conversations with people, you'll start to come across a little bit different, and then they'll start to understand you, and you'll rub off on people, so then they will naturally become a bit more positive. So then you can start to have more positive people around you.
Good question. Yeah. A lot of people talk about successful people waking up early in the morning. Do you have a specific time you wake up?
That's a good. Do you know what? My alarm. I'm not like a mad early riser. My alarm goes off about 7. I get to the office. Well, I'll get up, go to the gym about 8, come back, have a shower, and then get to the office about 10. But I'm always working though, so. Yeah, I'm all like emails, I'm on my phone, so I don't have set hours, so I'm just always working. That's the only way I can kind of say that.
You are your brand.
Yeah. Like, this is working. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then I'll come out of here. I've got to do some posts on Instagram, or do you know what I mean? Or just.
Someone asked me that the other day. They said, "How do you balance?" And I said, it's 24 hours, bro.
Like,
it's 24 hours. Like, even when you're sleeping, you're thinking about your brand.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. It gets to a point where you're daydreaming about it and you can't. Yeah, but I've had to come to terms with that, so I'm okay with it now. Yeah. I'm like, this is what I chose to do. This is my life, so yeah.
You mentioned you had a team. How big is your team and how big you looking to take?
My team's 11 people at the moment. We've got an office based in Watford, which is finance and production, and then the Birmingham office is design and marketing. I don't know. I believe in having a small team that are effective and people that can multitask and do more than one thing. So I don't know, but I won't have any passengers. Do you know what I mean? Everyone that's on my team needs to be able to do a few different things. But again, just to touch on that, some people will want a massive team because it might look like, you know, you're doing bits, but I don't really care about like looking a certain way.
How hard has it been though for you to like, you know, manage to say that you keep saying like, for instance, you're in touch with yourself kind of thing, like when you at a young age when you first started, everyone's on the clubbing scene and everything else. Was it hard for you then?
Nah. It's never. One, obviously, I've been in a relationship as well, so that kept me grounded. So that's obviously, I don't really have the desire to like go out and partying anyway. And two, as I said earlier, I can't afford to get further down my journey and have any regret. So like, I don't want to be looking back thinking I've missed out on, like, for example, I've missed out on about, the boys went like IB for 3 years in a row. So I've missed out on that, missed out on 2 Dubai holidays twice in a row, because I just think I don't want to do that now. And then later on, I'm like, I should have just worked on my brand. Like, there's been times where everyone, including my girl's gone on holiday. Like, she went on holiday with my family and I've stayed back because I've done a UK design expo, because it just means that much to me. So it was just about them small sacrifices, and then now I can look back and think, you know what, doing that paid off. So that's just my approach. I just think I'm just...
And it's easy for people to have said, if that was in your situation, the design expo, I'll just leave that for the next time, man. These holidays, you know what I mean? It's easy to do that, so...
Yeah. No, not at the moment, and that's just because I want to get to a certain, like I said to Cordell, I'm only just becoming, what's the word, comfortable with doing things like this, because I feel like now I can add value to people. So when I do come to mentor, I want to be able to add proper value. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm still learning, because I'm like creative, I'm still learning certain things about like the business side. So I don't want to try and mentor someone and they're like, you know, you own this brand, but they ask me a question and I don't know. I need to be a little bit more well-rounded across the whole thing. Like, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, sick, man.
That's all right.
Everyone, give it up for Jay, man. I'm not gonna lie, that was inspirational, man. The jewels that came out of that,
Definitely, yeah.
powerful, 100%.
Like, share, follow,
Comment.
for that EvoYOUtion. That real change starts with you. Yeah. That real life-changing content that we're trying to provide. Yeah.
Yeah, wicked, man.
All
Thank
right,
you, guys.
thank you.
Cool, man.
Yeah.